Greetings to everyone. Welcome to Sonotech Medical and Diagnostic Center. My name is Akosia Afifa Abalo, a registered pharmacist in Ghana. Hypertension, also known as high blood pressure, is both preventable and manageable. If you have been diagnosed with hypertension, medications may be needed to control it. My advice to you as a pharmacist is speak to your doctor, follow your treatment regimen, and do not self-medicate. Do not take any medication that hasn't been prescribed by your doctor, especially drugs from family and friends who present with similar symptoms. And note, do not mix your medications with herbal preparations. Get your blood pressure checked and go for regular checkups. We are here for you any day, anytime, as we offer 24-hour services. Send in your prescription to any of our 3 branches with delivery services available. Contact us on 024 24 394 67. Measure your blood pressure accurately, control it, live long. Thank you.
Announcements on Adwa TV. Contact Adwa TV for your general announcements, proclamations and publications, job vacancies, etc. at a very affordable rate. Call 05092 57754 020 9494 258 or visit our marketing desk at Stepwork premises. Adwa TV, bringing good things to life.
Back from the break, we are still watching AM Ghana Breakfast Show on Adwa Television, and today we are having discussions on COVID-19 as part of the Diocesan Week celebration of the Anglican Diocese of Accra, powered by the Programs Director, Reverend Ikeo Watson, and department as well, and Adwa TV is championing the virtual celebration as well. Today happens to be May 25th. Happy May Day to all Ghanaians and Africans in general, and it's good that our forebears were able to bring us together to lighten up the torch as Africans, be true African. And I'm grateful that one of my guests is looking African. Maybe we see the first one soon. 2 of them are, in fact, strong Anglicans and strong members of the Anglican Diocese of Accra, to be precise. And then, ever since the inception of COVID, they've been championing the cause of taking us through some measures that we can all be safe. We can all be safe. And I have Dr. Ni Anung Aye. He is the chairman of the medical board. I call him the medical director. Anglican Diocese of Accra. Doc, how are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing fine.
Yes. Let me tell people what you did. When we were heightened by COVID and then we went on a day lockdown and we were opening a bit. So we were having virtual services at Bishop Chapel. And one day I come to the recording and then get Alex, this is where Doctor is that until the parish, the chapel is fumigated, no service is going to take place. Doctor, working with time. Time can wait. Lives are better. Doc, in fact, that day did well, but it's good you came, but I came to stop too quickly. I should have given us some ample time to prepare the place. But I think it's all part of the modality to see to it that people become safer.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
I remember it.
Sure.
Right, so another good friend of mine, that anytime I see him, I want to ask for face masks. Yes. Reverend Father, Professor Kwamina Sego. I don't know why he's only omitting the father from his other official. When I see him on TV3 or I see him on any media platform, during COVID talking. I don't see the father. Why are you nagging your father? You're a father.
Well, I was encouraged that it doesn't amount to a big change. But I think the name too long. I have people who have been there before myself, so I was encouraged that it's acceptable.
It's good. It's good that you took it from your others. So he's a biologist and also priest assistant at St. Augustine Anglican Church, Dan Stroman. Tomorrow they'll be hosting the Diocesan quiz celebration. I'm sure they are ready for us and ready for them too as well. Gentlemen, good morning. How are we doing?
Thank you. We're all doing well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Doc, let me start with you. Tell us briefly the stages we've come from, right from the inception of the first announcement of the 2 cases of COVID-19 in Ghana, the steps the church took to see to it that parishioners were safer, even under lockdown when we were lifted a bit for partial services, among other things. I know they squeezed the liturgy to conform to 1 hour and later 2 hours, among other things. But in terms of our protocols, where have we come from so far as COVID-19 is concerned?
Thank you very much. Probably another surprise again. I'm always full of surprises. You know. Yeah. You can see the 2 of us in our marks.
I'm not surprised.
And for what we are going to discuss, probably I'll have to ask, are you fully vaccinated?
I am.
The cameraman, are you fully vaccinated? And the assistant cameraman, are you fully vaccinated? Good. So now, once we are all vaccinated and we are in the enclosed space, we can take off our masks. That's the first safety issue. Thank you very much. And I didn't even surprise you alone with the fumigation of the chapel, but I actually got the team here and gave them a talk. A 30-minute talk about preventing the COVID.
Yeah.
Right. Now to the program. The bishop, when COVID came, was recognized as a public health danger in Ghana, immediately constituted a COVID prevention and control advisory board, which I was tasked to chair to advise the church on actions to take, made up of Professor Sego, Dr. Esedu, Dr. Mensah, and then Dr. Norte.
And then the St. Joseph.
Exactly.
Doctor.
So this was the committee which was set up. Our duty was to look at the way the situation was evolving and advise the church accordingly. And this we did. Now, COVID was a surprise for all of us. But as soon as we understood the implications, we immediately set to work. For all these activities, the Ghana Health Service was there. They were establishing protocols which were being applied nationwide. And happy enough, the church, I will even say the Christian Council in Ghana, quickly recognized the danger that we are in. You know, churches are societies which come together. We group, we share spaces, we share activities. And this COVID-19 had a perchance to spread where people come together. So from the word go, the idea was, let's take this seriously. Of course, we had our faith, which was encouraging us that we should pray, that God should give us a way out of this problem. Now, with faith, you should have action. So the actions were the protocol. And we look at the national protocol and adapted it to the church. Not just to the church, but then even encourage parishes to readapt it to suit their particular situations without losing the core issues involved. So what did we do? This is an infection which is spread through air, nasal, mouth, hand contamination, touching the eyes and the cavities, and then you develop the infection. Now we knew the incubation period, and we gradually got to know the expression of the disease. So as a church, we immediately set in process the prevention and control issues. First, we embolden the sub-units, that's the medical girls in all the parishes, to do an awareness campaign. So in the church, immediately hold sessions, let people understand that there's something in the air which is dangerous. And then we went on to establish the physical, parameters. And these are, before you enter the church, you make sure you are wearing a mask. You get to the premises before you enter, you wash your hands, you sanitize your hands. We take your name and bio data, where you're staying, your telephone number, and then we take your temperature. Reason being that if this condition actually was, coming into the church, those who are actively infected will be expressing the disease with the temperature as the most common parameter. So we did this, and then also you go into the church. We did plans about queue and sitting management. So seats were numbered, they were spaced between 1 meter and 1.5 meters for activities which involve getting up and moving the church. Of course, you can't sit for all the services. People were to observe the social distancing. And then we went on even to look at the activities on the altar. Is it offertory? You put the money in, you sanitize your hands. Is it communion? You sanitize your hands before you take the bread. And initially we're having few issues about the use of the common chalice. Yes. But then it didn't take long for us to recognize that. No, let's go ahead and provide these individual cups.
I think we started with one kind, just the bread, and
exactly,
the cups.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then we insisted the priests actually go through the rituals of sanitizing their hands before they dispense the wafers. Now, the process even carried on to when during the introit and then during the exit from the church, queue management, and then after church, as much as people should not gather, but disperse and go home as quickly as possible. All these things being done with their masks. Of course, the individual girls went in to educate people about, even in the house, what you should do. And communities were also educated. Unfortunately, we had our first spike, and which led to a number of deaths. It's heartening to find out that from a situation where we were having hundreds of cases per day, now we have an average weekly positive cases of about 6. So we've come a long way. The important issue about this is the role of the church. And in this case, I'll say the Anglican Church. In spite of the fact that people outside were having doubts, it didn't take us long to accept that this was a program, it was a community program, it was a national program, it was a global program, which needed individuals to play their part. And we did it well. I must say, the church did well in carrying out these protocols. Of course, we are not a medical establishment. We don't know how many people got infected. But as far as possible, we believe that spread through the church was minimal or probably non-existent, simply because of the fact that people adhered to the protocols. And going forward, we were updating and modifying. Till now, we have a set of protocols. Thank you.
Okay, I think that let me commend the team and that for a good work done, because it seems that part of our productions to be able to go to almost virtually, if not all parishes within the diocese, almost about 70% parishes who were there. So you're able to identify the queue-in systems, the sitting arrangement, among other things. Kudos to the team. Prof, we've been able to see where we've come from, so as COVID-19 is concerned and what was put in place. Now, presently, right after the announcement of the president, the last State of the Nation address on COVID protocols, the indication of not wearing nose masks has become a challenge. And then it seems that the phenomenon has moved from the streets even onto the church. Though I can see that certain traditions have come to stay, like the sanitizing of hands when the priest is celebrating the Eucharist, among other things, has come to stay. Where are we so far as COVID-19 is concerned currently, presently in our diocese?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, the intention was to keep the mask still and observe things over a period of time. But of course, like you're saying, that people are in a rush to take off the nose mask. Some places have managed to keep the mask on. Others are quickly removing them. But the essence of it was that we may still have isolated cases of COVID. Not everyone is also vaccinated. There are still people who are vaccinated. The third thing is that you realize that even now, with vaccination in other countries, the aged are still affected. So the issue is that we are not too sure, even for our aged people, whether they say they die, it wasn't COVID, etc. But there's no evidence to show that there's no impact of COVID even on some of these things. So the idea was that, and you know that as Anglicans, we have a good, well-defined, quite a large proportion of aged people. That yes. So the idea is that we need to protect them. And they want to come to church. I mean, I know that when the protocols were relaxed, a few people who were hesitant. I'm not going to go to
church. My grandmother is one of them. Yes, at St. Luke's. Yeah.
Exactly. So the whole idea was, let's protect everyone. So if we are in the chapel, let's wear it. When we go outside, we can remove it. At least for those concerned who come to church, and especially the elderly, and then the vulnerable, people who have underlying causes, then we would have protected them. In some places it works, in some places it's not working. But that was the rationale behind it. We hope that we'll still keep that rationale. Like Dr. I said, an average of 6 cases. It's not gone. 6 cases a week or something. So there's still some isolated cases in there.
Can we say that as a nation, you are virologist, you are a Kolebu, you
are medical school.
Okay, medical school, yes. Are we saying that with the target of the Ghana Health Service and as a nation that we wanted to have an add-on immunity as far as the vaccination is concerned, in Ghana, have we been able to come far as far as this target is concerned?
No, if you look at the numbers for vaccination, I think 6 million have had double doses, 9 million have had a single dose, and then 500 and something thousand have had 3 doses. Now that's the booster. We wouldn't get that vaccination status. But when Omicron was very transmissible, unless we do a study to look at people who have antibodies, we probably would not know the extent of protection that we actually have. I saw Omicron as a natural vaccination agent. And you know that sometimes one virus can protect against another because they are similar. There's some level of protection. So really, we don't know. So we can't, if you want to consider vaccination, no, we haven't reached. But if you want to consider the fact that Omicron had a wave across that many infections probably were not recognized, we probably are dancing in between those numbers. So we are not sure unless a study. I'm not aware of currently any study trying to look at that, but I'm sure some people are doing that. So yes. So basically now the thing was not to make us crowded, to relax, but not to. We shouldn't sit shoulder to shoulder. I think that we are coming to a point where to become part of us. We won't sit shoulder to shoulder again. So if it's a pew, at least in between people, there should be some space. Maybe it's not social distancing, but some space to create some space around you. The communion cups initially, some of the parishes started with leaving gaps between cups. The cases have gone down. Now most of us have filled the tray, which is okay because we still sanitize our hands before we come for the cup. The right names are what people have taken out, and Dr. has said that there are other benefits. So probably we could consider leaving, not because of COVID. And maybe I should say this, the reason why we were doing all these things, one of the cardinal reasons was that assuming that they said in church somebody had COVID, you don't want to go and carry everybody to test. Yes. Testing was an issue. Then, you know, people who were there first at the service, you know, maybe people who were sitting around the person. then we can test maybe in a systematic way to find out if all of them are okay or not. So there was a reason behind all these biodata collection and things, and giving people seeds, etc. So all these things, because the numbers have gone down, globally numbers are coming down, but deaths still persist. So it's not like the deaths have stopped. If you look at the current updates, deaths are still occurring because of COVID. So we are not, COVID is not gone, but we should do what we can to prevent spread. And let me add on that, even though we've relaxed, now influenza is coming out.
Yes.
The masks are very good for influenza. So we are getting to the reality of what the Asians have seen over the years. You know, they are very familiar with wearing masks.
Yes.
We may have to consider ourselves. I mean, maybe it may not be a state legislation or something, but as an individual, I feel you know the season.
Somebody says we're going to be wearing masks till 2032.
Well, influenza, because the influenza seasons are known. So if you want to protect yourself, you think that you don't want to fall sick, it's left to you to be able to do some of these things yourself.
Right. I wanted to come to how best as the medical team being able to see to it that vaccination is done across board, because like you indicated that it seems the statistics of the vaccinations we don't really have, but since everybody within the diocese have, what are we doing to ensure that our parishioners are getting the vaccination? I'll come back to you on it. Okay. But Doc, on the database, reality now, you go to most of the churches, you don't take the data. I don't know whether it is an advice from the team to the parishes that don't take the data anymore, or they don't see the relevance of the data because the infection rate is dwindling.
Thank you. Now, throughout the 4 peaks of COVID in Ghana, we have had about 161,000 confirmed positives, out of which we've lost about 1,400 or so. Now, it hasn't been easy because COVID is an invisible enemy. And when people don't see, they don't believe. Not that alone. There were so many theories about conspiracies and the rest. It kept people away from even opening their minds to understand the issues which were involved. And it doesn't exclude the church. The church is part of the community. So you had these same concepts running through the church. Gradually, these ideas are coming down. But there are still people who have never seen a COVID death. They haven't seen a COVID illness. And I think as soon as the president announced that, right, you can take off your mask, they didn't even read the last line, which said, ensure that for every space you are in, people are vaccinated. They didn't read that line. So the edict was simply to them, take off your mask. And it's in the church. But then you see, as a group and as a disciplined group, that is the advantage that we have. And especially when the priests are leaders and they get empowered. And by extension, they also empower the congregation. We should be able to do these things. And like Prof mentioned, we should be each other's keeper. Younger people were not expressing this disease in its worst forms. Mortality among them was very low. Older people, and especially those with comorbidities, diabetes, hypertension, cancers, asthma, uncontrolled, they suffered a lot. So still, if we have even droplets of COVID, and which has now been complicated by the influenza, which also expresses itself the same way.
Like COVID.
It's like COVID. We have to be each other's keeper. I won't say the older people with the comorbidities. Of course, I'm an elderly person without much comorbidities. But I wouldn't say older people should stay away from the church. We should help to protect them. They will wear their masks. We should also wear our masks when we are in the enclosed space. And like we said at the beginning, for other church activities, especially in open spaces, with the minimum social distancing, we can take off our masks. In the offices, you are there alone, you can take off your mask. If somebody comes in to spend some considerable time, we have to be aware whether the person is vaccinated or not, as we did over here. And you can do without your mask. It seems to be an inconvenience. But you see, then comes this issue of what I call the new norm. We are learning a lot about animal viruses which get transferred to man. Prof probably may talk better about it. And this is not the end. A lot of them are going to come. But then you see, for every episode from Ebola, we devise means and ways to counteract them. And I'll tell you, with COVID, the expertise which has been acquired is so massive that it will give us leeway in handling any other, we use the word zoonosis, which will come our way next time. The church has learned a lot. We shouldn't just throw the marks away. We should protect our older people, especially in certain circumstances. And we should be even agents when we go out to tell other people that, hey, look, we are in an enclosed space. Please, you put it on. When you go out, you can take it off. And I think this is the advantage of a church which is on the move, guided by the 5 pillars. And I think we'll succeed.
Yeah, that is making impact in our societies. Prof, I was on you on
The vaccination. Yeah, but before that, may I just say this?
Go ahead.
The other thing is that we are hoping that parishes will now have permanent hand washing basins, not Veronica buckets, because now it's obvious that washing, in fact, it's always been known, but COVID has helped us to actualize it, that washing of hands takes away a significant amount of infections from us, 40% or so thereabouts, if probably lower, higher. So washing of hands should become part of our lifestyle. I learned it even before COVID, way before, because I had issues at home with children, picking things. So I decided that maybe when I get home, the first thing I do is to wash my hands. When I leave and I get to my office, sometimes you're in a rush, but as much as possible, I try to wash my hands. So I've tried to cultivate that habit. Always wash your hands. Once you've passed through some places, even your car, just wash your hands, because you don't know what you've touched and what you've done. So we are hoping that parishes would have permanent washing basins where anybody who comes, as part of my routine to enter the chapel, will wash my hands before I even go and sit down. And then the issue about the vaccines. Fortunately, the Ministry of Health is having another round of vaccination campaigns, I think the next 2 weeks. So for us, for example, in St. Augustine, they're coming there next Sunday. And it looks like they've gone around to different places, churches, institutions, etc., and things like that. So people need to take advantage of it, the opportunity that is given. That will help them to be able to do, get the vaccine. And then finally, maybe talking generally about health issues. I think as a church, we should also work to become health conscious. For example, my parish priest now has sanctioned a program where occasionally one of our medical experts, Dr. Norte, and then I'm Dr. Ben Mensah is also part of the group. I will left his name out. Dr. Norte would be doing regular, occasional discussions on health issues at church on Sunday, because we think that
as part of the service.
Well, yes, as part of the service, because we realize that's a place you can get everyone. Normally, when you tell you to go and come back, on a special day, they won't come. So I think that we should be conscious about that. And I'm sure every parish has some sort of health personnel or something, somebody who's done some health, a nurse, a physician assistant, a doctor. I think we've come to a point where we should handle the basic things. Cholera was handled by hand washing. There are some basic things we can handle. I always say that let's do what we can and leave the rest with God. So I think that we need to actively include some of these in our programs on Sundays, occasionally, or some health tip or something that will help build up. There are many of us, I don't want to talk about myself, but many people who are hypertensive who don't know. They say there's a health screen and you go and find out you're hypertensive or you're diabetic. So we need to do that and improve our health generally.
Right, we are going to go in a quick time. When we come back, we'll look at the recent statement by the Diocesan on the easing or lessening of some of the earlier restrictions that was imposed in the church, and our way forward to as a church. And the things we have to look forward or look out for in moving forward, so far as other influencers or you call them zoonosis are concerned, so we can protect and safeguard ourselves. We are still watching the COVID-19 update or where we are on COVID so far as the church is concerned. We're going to quick, so when we come back, we have more for you on the show. Do stay tuned.
Greetings to everyone. Welcome to Sonotech Medical and Diagnostic Center. My name is Akosia Afifa Abalo, a registered pharmacist in Ghana. Hypertension, also known as high blood pressure, is one of the medical conditions that is common in our society. Hypertension is both preventable and manageable. If you have been diagnosed with hypertension, medications may be needed to control it. My advice to you as a pharmacist is speak to your doctor, follow your treatment regimen, and do not self-medicate. Do not take any medication that hasn't been prescribed by your doctor, especially drugs from family and friends who present with similar symptoms. And note, do not mix your medications with herbal preparations. To help with taking your drugs, you can use a pill box, set an alarm on your phone, or get an accountability partner. The most important message I have for you is know your numbers, get your blood pressure checked, and go for regular checkups. We are here for you any day, anytime, as we offer 24-hour services. Send in your prescription to any of our 3 branches with delivery services available. Contact us on 024 24 394 67. Measure your blood pressure accurately, control it, live long. Thank you.
Announcements on Adwa TV. Contact Adwa TV for your general announcements, proclamations and publications, job vacancies, etc. at a very affordable rate. Call 05092 57754, 0209494 or visit our marketing desk at Stepwork premises. Adwa TV, bringing good things to life.
Welcome back from the break. Still watching AM Ghana Breakfast Show on Adwa Television. Where are we on COVID-19 protocols as far as the Anglican Diocese of Accra is concerned? And this is part of the Diocesan Week celebration teachings or program or activities lineup for the celebration. We need to update ourselves as far as COVID-19 is concerned. And I've seen some few schools issuing statements to warn students on the flus that are breaking out, so that when you look at the protocols they put in place, it's not far from the protocols of COVID-19. So I'm grateful that our medical team have touched on it. As a church too, we need to also be very careful and very cautious about this new influences or flus that is there. Doc, my concern is the very recent statement the Bishop issued to lessen some of the initial protocols. But one line that was stressed in that we need to wear our nose masks at all times. How has it been going as a church for us? And then from the point of the medical view, do you think that we need to have lessened the protocols or opening to full capacity, or among other things? Do we need to go ahead and, well, isn't that we've come to stay with the 2 hours of a service, and most of the parishes are doing 2 hours, though we have full capacity, but still, what can we do? Is the statement in its right course? Is that something we have to look out for so far as COVID is concerned?
Thank you. I think from the word go, the impression was that our Lord Bishop has not eased the protocol at all. And I think if people had that impression, all well and good. Because until we declare COVID gone. Basically, what is on the ground now is the masks should be there. The washing of hands, as Prof said, should be probably a background new normal for all churches. And even to stress on that, washing of the hands, sanitizing of the hands, made cholera a non-issue in 2021. Even in the rainy season, we didn't have a peak at all. So washing. Now, about the registration, ideally for administrative purposes, it's good for the churches. Know people who are coming, who are the elderly, who are the younger ones. Know even where they stay. Know their telephone number so that you can even talk to them. So administratively, it's a good idea. But for that, if you can let it go, fine. But we advise that use it for administrative purposes. Now, the queue spaces has been eased. And it should not be shoulder to shoulder. But we could do shoulder to shoulder for families. When you all come from the same family, we call it the bubble, same bubble, you can sit shoulder to shoulder. Now, the movement in the church, we are still maintaining the queue with the spacing for the offertory, for the communion. The same procedures are going on. For the keys of peace, we are waving each other, which is something that should stay on probably forever. The activities on the altar, the vestments, we are now allowing more vestments to be put on. The choir could now put on their full vestments. Of course, their spacing and queuing should also not be very different from the church. So basically, in church, the mask should be on. Out of church, you can remove your mask. Social activities around the church, weddings, funeral, becomes a challenge because then people are coming in and they're coming from various areas. Some churches believe that it's gone. So they don't do any of the protocols. I think we should insist once they come into our premises. So it will mean masks will have to be available to be doled out. If you leave the parish, the church hall, you can take off your mask. Funeral activities, similar protocols should be done. Now outside, it got to a point where the final rites and the rest were not being held on the grounds. Now they are going on. We just make sure as much as possible. Outside, no need for masks, but then the distancing should be carried through. As far as I'm concerned, probably we may downgrade everything when the government or the Ghana Health Service comes out and say, now, COVID is no more a public health issue. No more a public health issue. But we've learned a lot of things from COVID, and essentially bordering on hygiene. And as Christians, we are to be leaders in these activities. So probably on and off, we may have to mask for particular issues, but the washing of the hands, mandatorily, I think it should be maintained. If as at now you don't have the facility, your buckets, and you go to most of the churches, the buckets are rusted.
There's no water in it.
Yes. You can sanitize, alcohol sanitization before you enter the church. You can sanitize the hands. So this is what is on the ground. Various parishes, various addiction, they can readapt. There are peculiar circumstances. They can readapt. People are asking, what type of mask should we use. Simply, medical mask will do. But even in this stage, a cloth mask, which can be washed and reused, can be used. Now, those who have to do a lot of talking can use the KN95 because it gives you a space to prevent your lips from brushing and muffling the language. People were asking issues about cleaning the church. I think this was a good chance for us to learn. You go to a lot of the parishes, the floors are clean because they were being scrubbed and sanitized, bleached all the time. We should maintain these habits. Ventilation in the church, it was also an opportunity to learn. Initially, people were saying if the fans are on, they spread the virus into the room. But we have to correct them that rather they spread and lessen the density of the virus in the space. So ventilation, we should do it very well. Lighting, if you light the place very well, it reduces bacteria and viruses. So we've learned a lot. And I think going forward, we should maintain the positive aspects that I've mentioned.
I'm very grateful that you've done this. Prof, you, one way or the other, my question would be for the consecutive Anglicans who are looking forward for us returning into taking communion in chalice. And we've come a long way where we have to battle the spirituality and medical aspect. You are a balance. You are of both. Do we look forward, or can we ever, or are we going to return to our norm of taking the communion from chalice?
Thank you. Some of these things are for the diocesan to decide, but I mean, health-wise, I mean, he discusses things with us. So. But you see, there's a ritual, a reason why we do what we do, and we share in one cup. And I know that, for example, in Christ Church, that issue raged on for a while. So it got to a point where there were cups and there was chalice. So those who wanted to use the chalice,
go for chalice.
Go for chalice. Those who wanted to use the cups, go for cups. But looking at the emergence of these viruses, somehow within a short space of time, it's today you hear this, the next day you hear this, and even within the West African sub-region, was Lassa, was something else now is the avian influenza. Looking at the frequency, we may come to a point where we may have to use this for a long time to observe, to see how things would go over time. And then maybe a decision can be made as we progress along. But I think that the most important thing for me is to get the reason behind why we do what we do. So sometimes I tell them, we share in one cup. We're supposed to laugh, we break one bread. But yet we go around bashing people on their backs. And then we are looking for a single cup, but yet behind us we are doing what divides us. So we should be able to appreciate why we do what we do. And then I believe that if we do that, it will help us to relax. I mean, I know people have very, like you said, it came from
consecutive.
Yes, no, they've come from a long time in the Anglican Church. So they've been part of the seen bishops or from bishops. We are grandchildren, you know. So they still have that passion and attachment. Exactly, and they still have that attachment. You can't take it from them. But I think that over time we're realizing that, well, we may have to rethink certain things. And then as we, you know, just as worship is dynamic, our health issues are also dynamic. We didn't know COVID before, but now we know. So as we go along, as the situations present themselves, I'm sure the diocesan, in consultation with the other health members of the team, will then be able to make decisions as to the way forward. Because there's always the theological basis and, of course, the health basis as well.
But if I may add,
okay, come in, Doc.
When Ebola came, there was a similar situation. Ebola, Sierra Leone, Liberia, a lot of the infections were being transmitted from sharing utensils. So I remember very well, the medical Guild was tasked by the Archbishop, Dr. Akrofi, to look into how we can go into this individualized cups. Now, it didn't last for a year. Ebola, it looks like there was we put the lid on it faster. And with that also, the idea of probably the Anglicans moving from the single chalice. But I think things change in our environment. And as Christians, I always have a feeling God has a way of directing us. We are empowered to be able, in fact, I don't want to wax and wane biblically, but when we were given the F, that go, man, have the F, have it, take it. It wasn't a holiday. The challenges were going to come. But then with the challenges, we're going to be empowered with knowledge. And we should be open to these ideas. And it will help to save. There are people who may not even have the opportunity to know that, at that time, know that Ebola was being transmitted by contaminated eating utensils. And if you have the knowledge, you save your fellow man by not sharing. So I will insist we just hold with these individualized cups.
Okay, they just hold with individualized cups, and I think that it helped one way or the other. At the end of the day, Prof. Sego and then Dr. Aye has maintained that we going ahead to keep a personal hygiene will go a long way to save us from other viruses or other ailments. As far as COVID-2, we are able to shy away from COVID or prevent contracting COVID. We can also prevent ourselves from contracting others. I'm going to let them have their final bits on what generally we should do to keep to it that our health is intact, is fine, because as far as we have good health and we have sound mind, we can worship God proper. Yes, so we are going to ask them that finally, or briefly to conclude, in their conclusion remarks, what should we do as a church to see to it that we stay fit and we stay very healthy to serve God? I'll start with you, Dr.
Thank you very much. As a church, we have to be very alive to issues of health. And man doesn't live in a vacuum. Man is environment, and what he does is a dynamic interaction. Diseases are with us, and that's why we don't grow forever. So, as a church, the processes and the agencies which are needed to keep us healthy should be highlighted all the time. If I take the medical guild, for example, the idea is for the church to empower all of them to continuously create awareness about communicable and non-communicable diseases. The church actually does a proactive job of going out into communities to do outreaches. They should be emphasized, and then material and resources made available for these activities to be carried through. Of course, we can't do this alone. In fact, up to now, we've been collaborating with the Ghana Health Service for our rural programs on health. We always link up with the Ghana Health Service. Is it about establishing health posts, medical centers, CHIPS centers, maternity units? We actually work with them. They should be encouraged. On the individual parish levels, I think there should be a conscious program to empower our priests and church agents with knowledge about health. I always say God has very good things for us than to worry about healing malaria, when malaria is easily a preventable disease. So we should empower the agents of the church with knowledge about health. And this could be well done by decentralizing the medical guild, making them functional on the periphery, and on regular basis, health programs being done in the church to create awareness. Of course, health is not only not being ill, There are issues about psychological and mental issues. So we should also concentrate on those areas. We have resources in the church. There are personnel, there are activities. We should harness all this together to create a healthy Anglican community.
Let me just say this one quickly. I think that you are part of the Professionals Guild, and then you retreated on we seeing to it that the limbs of the Health Guild is broadened. But it seems that I've seen a lot of young people who are medical people. They are medical assistants here, pharmaceutical or whatever be the case. But it seems they are not fully part of the body itself. How can they stretch forth to be recognized that, okay, I've also studied nursing and I can just probably help in my small corner? Because I know a lady at Katapo, she is with the government health facility around the Pokwasi area there. And then she was here and moved to that side. So she's fellowship with Katapo, and she sees to it that anything concerning health, she's available to help. But how would she be able to stretch forth to come? My name is Cecilia Boy anyway. How would she stretch forth to you to see to it that, okay, we are part of the body that is seeing to it that our health activities on the diocesan front is going forward?
Thank you very much. I think this is a good opportunity for me to do a little campaign of recruitment. Yeah. Now, if I may tell you, the average age of the core members of the medical guild, the Diocesan Medical Guild, is about 70 years, 65 to 70 years. And of course, attrition by age reduces the number as we go on. Now, we have made all the attempts to recruit, especially through NUAS. The issues are this: they are either working in the public sector or they are in school. And when the programs are asymmetrical, when I say symmetrical, it's not synchronized with what is happening in their hospitals or schools, they are not able to participate. So we have this large number of Anglican youth with skills, but then is it going out into the field? Is it doing an awareness campaign? They will not be allowed to leave their units. As much as possible, we are trying to recruit the older ones, that's the older doctors and the rest. The interest levels are not too high, I must confess. And of course, this is a voluntary activity, so we don't expect any remuneration. We are working for God and for the church. The enthusiasm is not too much there, but I'm one person who never gives up. We are going to insist that any program that NUAS is bringing a large group of youth together, and of course, you don't need only the medical people. There are people who are into other fields, administration. We even train people on the field, right in the field, to become medical men, to do chores for us. So for all these programs, we'll make an attempt to be present and do a little campaign. As it is now, we are having younger doctors. And I think this Saturday or so, there's a group who are doing a medical outreach at Ofanko. And mind you, we suspended all the medical outreaches. But gradually, with the COVID easing, we are restarting. And the central group will also start. The collaboration, especially with the branches of the vine from the USA, we are going to reactivate. But please, young people in the church, this is one way of doing God's work. Extending a helping hand to people who are sick. Extending a helping hand to educate people about issues of health. And if you have funds, you can even contribute financially towards this program.
Thank you. I would also beg you to, like they are done, they're partnering with NUAS, see what to see that the larger AYPA would also be roped in, because I think that for the past 2 years, what we have been doing to see to it that our corporate social responsibility during the Aaron Nelson Week is tailored at the Pokwase health facility.
But that was a very good thing the AYPA did. I congratulate them for that.
Yes, we are going to do more.
Thank you.
We're going to do more. So let's partner, and then we'll be able to. There we're able to see quickly our colleagues at various parishes or branches who are into the field, and then we can put up some database and forward their names to you too as well at that larger
Thank you
point.
very much. I'll make you a recruiting agent. Thank you very much.
Let me come to your final conclusion.
Just to add on to what he said before, we should see, it's your ministry is not only preaching or wearing a cassock or doing Bible study. Our ministries extend to whatever gifts God has given to us, abilities He's given to us. So we should see using those abilities as part of our ministry that God has given to us, that we will all account for in various ways. Everybody will account for his or her ministry. And then finally, I just wanted to ask, as my final statement, do you have a full health program?
A full health program?
Yes.
As Adwa Television? Yes, we do. We have health months.
Regular.
Around every Monday, and then we have delivery room that runs on Thursday. That is for babies. And
so maybe you should use those platforms to educate on basic health issues. It's extremely important. For example, stroke. The young people are now getting.
Yes.
Yeah. It's sometimes sad when you see a very young person and say, but that's a reality. And especially when it's vibrant, energetic young group, the real dynamic group of the church. If we're not careful, health-wise, we will not do well. And so we should be able to do something to be able to make everybody realize that it's not a matter of age. In fact, it's when you start earlier, it's better. Being health conscious is better. You don't wait when you are old that you start being health conscious. So we need to find a way of reminding, especially the young adults, that the fact that you are there, some of them there's constant working up and about. It will tell on you one day, even someone at an earlier age. So we need to be health conscious. The Bible has doctors, which means God recognizes that doctors are needed. So our health is important, and so we should put premium on our health.
Put premium on your health. That is coming from Professor Sego, and then we've also had a long one too from Dr. Aye. And all what they are saying is that there's a need to put a lot of concerns into our health. If you are a young Anglican out there from the Diocese of Accra, and you see what your forebears are doing to see to it that we have a fortified health system in the diocese, do what to just stretch your hands upon them. And COVID-19 is not away. So don't bring the attitude from the streets into the church as if there's no COVID. There is COVID. And whilst we are doing well to minimize our infection rate, that I heard now is 6 per week. Yes, averagely 6 per week. Let's do well to even see to that we have a 0 case per week. And then, as for the nose masks there, as far as we have other communicable diseases in the atmosphere, it's highly important that we, in fact, keep the nose masks on, among other things there. Thanks to Dr. Mianun Aye, who is the medical director Anglican Diocese of Accra, and also the chairman of the medical board, and also the chairman of any other medical unit in Anglican. Is the one. Yes, very soon be elevated to the provincial level. Amen. Doc, thanks for coming. Thanks for your time as well. Then we have the Reverend Father, Professor Governor Sego.
Add the father.
He's a biologist and he's with the Kolombo Medical School, and is also the priest assistant at St. Augustine Anglican Church. Are you people ready for us for the quiz to go?
Yes, we're ready. We are campaigning strongly on our platforms. This morning, another campaign has gone out.
You know that for a long time. This is when I'm seeing that the Diocesan quiz is being moved to our archdeaconry. Last year we won. We're winning this time around. So it's a full Accra West host and win.
I see. We'll see what the
Yes, we'll see where but the forces of St. Augustine will be with us.
Our groups are coming. Watch out for it.
All right.
We have to go to somewhere else.
Yes. It's fine. It's not bad starting from St. Augustine. Anyway, let's do from then.
So we are open arms. We are waiting for you.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yes, and I know what they can do. I know what he can do. I know what his parish priest can do. I know what the likes of Alex and the rest can do. We can do some catfish when we are done, among other things. I won't talk about it. But it's been a wonderful section with you, Prof, and then Doctor.
Thank you.
See you when I see you. And thanks for staying with us too, and big ups to our folks watching on social media too as well. The name is Festival. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. exactly, we'll be live at St. Augustine Anglican Church. Have the Clash of the Titans to see who will be taking home the bragging rights on the best archdeaconry for the Diocesan quiz competition tomorrow. Is it going to be Accra West? My very own archdeacon is going to be Tema Archdeacon. Is going to be Cathedral Deanery. Is going to be Accra North. Is going to be Accra East, or is going to be Accra Northeast? Let's see that the best goes home with it, and the best comes from the West. So we are definitely going to win for it. So see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. and then do enjoy